Hello, Mech fans. This is Duncan Fisher. Hold on firmly to your mana potions, fireballs, and familiars, because you are tuning in to your regularly scheduled episode of the First Circuit Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the First Circuit Podcast, episode 133. Today's topics are MWO Dev Vlog, No Gas No Galaxy Podcast, events and sales for Mechwarrior Online, Battletech community things, URBIEs, community paint jobs, showcasing, resources for your own paint jobs like camo references, video tutorials, miniature reviews, custom Battletech decals for your paint jobs, and behind the scenes for Battletech written by their lead designer. Tonight's hosts are Ian.
Hello.
Fighter.
Vlog.
And myself, OLDBOB10025. All coming up next.
All right. So, Mechwarrior Online has finally had its dev vlog.
Yes, Dev Vlog, which is pretty interesting. I watched some of it, not all of it though. I haven't had time to do some things, but looked interesting. The parts I did watch. What do you guys think?
It's somewhat what you expect. I mean, it's just them talking, addressing the community regards to the acquisition of VG7.
Mhm.
And yeah, it gave us some interesting little tidbits, and they wanted to try and assuage people about the negative feelings about how things will change or not. But yeah, it was okay. But at least wasn't too long, honestly. So you just watch it, hear some people chat about it, and it's fine.
Yeah, I would also at the beginning say I think that was a good update. They didn't really tell us too much content-wise. Like you really don't have to watch it if all you want is news. Just wait for the update their own posts.
Yeah.
But they did a good they did a decent attempt to try and quelch some of the fears that are sprung up in the community. And yeah,
Well,
I like the way they did it.
what fears were brought up by the community? Like what?
Well, mostly the fear that well, we've had a publish in the past and we got burnt hard. And the fear of the community is obviously, well, new publisher, they just want to make money. And Mechwarrior Online, as we've known, is not too profitable, so maybe they have different plans. Maybe they're just gonna take the full team of PGI to do something else. Like all those things that could theoretically happen now that PGI is completely owned by someone else. And yeah, PGI has done, in my opinion, a good job
Yeah.
dissuading them.
One other angle is just somewhat along the lines of that people weren't too happy about. Is that a lot have been waiting for the Steam release, a lot have been waiting for the DLC release, and both of those have been pushed back by quite a substantial amount. But as I said, at least we'd heard this before, but they just had to restate it that they don't want to come out at the same time as Cyberpunk. It just
Yeah.
makes no business sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
And with it being acquired by a new publisher, it just makes so much more sense now with the extra resources and support for them to release it all in one big, marketing spree next year, sometime spring next year, probably.
Well, yeah, that's business though. That's I mean, like even Cyberpunk actually had to delay some stuff to make sure that their game's going good, and now PJ has a chance to fix all the bugs, fix all the little tiny things, put immersion into effect, do that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, but we don't want to be too optimistic here.
no, I am. I'm just optimistic type guy. That's how I am. I'm just like, hey man, I'm positive. I try to be positive, man.
So
It's
Bob
just
is overly optimistic.
But then I
I
got,
think
but then Mechwarrior 5 didn't turn out the way I wanted to.
so there's a whole host of things you could talk about. Like, for example, if you guys were almost ready to do a Steam release, why not just do it? Well, I still think marketing's so important,
Yeah.
particularly the initial release on Steam. You could perhaps put the page up early, just people can't actually buy, but no, then just work with your new publisher, figure everything out with them, with their expertise, and plan in the future once you've both figured things out to do a big release.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, that makes complete sense.
yeah.
One other little concern, at least the interesting thing, was that one of those things they talked about was why didn't we as the community hear about this acquisition? Shouldn't we know, plenty of ahead of time? And Russ just says right up front, at least, even most of the people within the studio of PGI did not know about exactly how the negotiations were going or anything like that. There was a strict NDA clause, so only a handful of people in the company knew about this acquisition until the same day as all of us learned about it.
Mhm.
I mean
So
that.
yeah, with
Yeah,
the NDA in place, there's just they're not even letting their employees know about this, let alone the wider public. And yeah, you don't just go around blabbing about these kind of things, particularly since they're a private company and they need to get everybody on board to sell all their shares to EG7.
makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that's standard
And
business
this
practices.
this again just makes me even more curious who the actual shareholders were before the acquisition. Like, who had stock in PGI as a private company? I want to know. It's so irrelevant, but I really want to know.
Now, the PGI is a private or public stock.
Was a private company, and now as part of EG7, they are.
Public, aren't they?
And
They're
they're
They are.
publicly.
I'm trying to think. Are they, like, if you look at them as an entity, are they technically public? Because you can't buy PGI shares, you can only buy EG7 shares. Are they still
Only
considered, or are they
what
considered a private company owned by a public company?
I don't know. Oh,
I don't know.
you're interesting to check out though. If anyone knows that, let
I'm
us
not the
know.
one to ask fully about stocks and shares and such, but basically they're part of a big company.
Yeah.
You can buy shares in them,
Yeah,
in a publicly traded
yeah.
space.
You
Yeah.
can buy EG7 shares. They're currently pretty pricey.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you want to, though, go
Yeah.
ahead.
No. I don't know. I don't know. If I had the money,
So yeah,
cool. I don't know.
yeah. Anyway, interesting.
Yeah.
Only 5 people within PGI knew about the deal before, and I personally expected it to be like at least a dozen or so. So I'm surprised it's only this few. Makes sense. I still would have very much liked if those 5 people had prepared some kind of statement to be put out the day of the sale going public. But
Why?
oh well.
Why would that be?
Uh, to completely quelch those fears before they even spring up,
Oh,
like
okay.
you have a sale, and I mean, how did we learn about the sale? Some random Twitter user that, no offense, Twitter user, if you're listening to this, I've never heard before, just posted the link, and then the link got shared within the Battletech community, and that's how we learned that PGI got bought.
Well, that's how we learn a lot of
And
things, though. I mean, literally. That's
yeah,
how.
and that's not ideal. And I
Yeah.
would have very much preferred a tweet from Russ on the day of the deal, like, "Hey, by the way, we're being bought. Statement coming in the next few days. We're gonna do a video update, something like this.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
anything."
Yeah. True. True. It'd be better to hear
Anyway,
from the horse's mouth, but yeah.
yeah. Anyway, now we have a video update, and I think they did a fine job. So let's not quell on the past too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Y-
right. They talked about the usual things, just a little bit. They said, obviously now being part of a larger company, we can, share our resources and assets with them. So if they need help with a game engine or something, there's other studios around the world that they can use their talent and resources. And obviously, marketing was a big one that they mentioned as well.
Yep.
That part of it, just the obvious benefits of being with a publisher and a larger company.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm super excited to see what they come up with marketing. This is kind of going into the next snippet of our podcast a bit, but they did talk about what kind of marketing they were doing, and one of the things they mentioned is that most marketing is going to be centered on Mechwarrior 5 with that giant release in spring on multiple consoles and platforms. And I'm excited to see Mechwarrior being hopefully probably promoted again.
It
And
will.
also their uh, is it still called a poster if it's digital only? Their promotional image looks really cool with all of the platforms at the bottom, like Microsoft Game Store, Epic Game Store, Steam,
Xbox.
GOG.
Yeah.
There are so many things. It's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it's gonna bring in a bigger market, so that's a good thing. With like Xbox like coming into effect, huge, bigger, huge market. So it's gonna the promotion wise itself, and then like it's like who's the promotion company again? It's starts with a P, right?
Petrol?
Yeah, Petro.
Petrol. Yeah.
Yeah, but Petro did like we talked about the last podcast. It was Call of Duty, World War and or World War II one, and a couple other good games. Fortnite was another one too that they worked on. So it's gonna be fine. It's
Yeah.
bringing more people.
They've
This is a
touched on a
good
lot of
thing.
those
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
more people. So that's a bonus for PGI completely. Is that it's not just be us mech dad well guys. It's gonna be normal people like out there. They're playing games. Go, oh look, this is a mech game. Let's go play that game. So it's be good.
Yeah. Ultimately, it's a question of, at least with marketing, you have to put money in to hopefully
Yeah.
get more money out. Simple is. And they're not planning to do that with Mechwarrior Online. They're planning to do that with their new DLC, the big relaunch on consoles, etc., etc. So, presumably, there's going to be at least a half decent amount of money put into the marketing for Mechwarrior 5. It might get a new lease of life, and much, 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 much further down the line, the new IP that they're working on undoubtedly will also get a big marketing push when it's released.
Yeah,
Yep.
true.
Russ did also mention the IP, just that, yeah, I have mentioned it in the investor thingy. Of course, it's still very much, in development and such. It's very early days. We will hear about it very far, far, far down the line. That he's not willing, of course, to tell us that much about it right now, which
Yep.
makes sense.
Much later than the development of Mechwarrior 5, which is probably a good call given what happened the last time we've heard of Mechwarrior 5 very, very early.
Yeah.
Where we got an awesome trailer and then nothing for years.
Yeah.
True.
I still want to play that original game. Okay, let's move on. What I found interesting was that there were multiple companies interested in acquiring PGI, and like for him, he noticed that it's difficult being an independent game developer in the current gaming branch. So they were so at least he was actively looking for a buyer,
Mhm.
and they chose
Yep.
EG7 rather than just being chosen, which is always a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know who other interested parties were. So it doesn't tell us much, but hey, cool. Choice is awesome.
We have at least Russ's word for what it's worth. That he said that
Yep.
the team were not surprised that they had been acquired, and they were happy that it was EG7.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll be honest, I honestly don't trust Russ anymore. But still, I don't think he would lie that blatantly about something like being happy about the acquisition.
Anyone who's still with the company liked the change.
Yeah.
You never
Okay.
know how that can really be interpreted.
What I was a bit confused about, I think he got then rehired by EG7 to be the CEO and project managing person of PGI. But he didn't really go into the whole new structure they have going. So
Yeah,
presumably there shouldn't be much change on an operative level.
at least they mentioned as well stuff like they're getting used to the new management structure, that there's going to be a bit of a shaking out period as to be expected. As far as we can tell, though, at least he's the head of the company. He knows all the people inside and how they operate. So at least to start with, it makes sense to rehire him or him be in charge of the company, particularly since he has the whole. We talked about this last week, that if PGI is successful, then there will be even more payout to to shareholders and whatnot. So he undoubtedly has some shares in the company, and so therefore will be paid out quite nicely if he does quite well in the next 10 years or so.
Okay.
A tiny tidbit that came on is that Mechwarrior 5 is AA. And before the podcast, we were kind of wondering what AAA games PGI has produced then. So that's interesting, at least, though. Like from our perspective, Mechwarrior 5 never was AAA, but no, we have confirmation that also doesn't think it's AAA. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, AAA, I mean, I guess it's based off sales, right? For the AAA and AA's? Is it based off sales or actually
Of
popular?
your webcam mic.
Oh.
At least on my side, by the way.
yep.
Try again.
Test. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, we can hear you. It's just it's echoey, webcam-y.
Yeah, that's a second. Change it. Oh, damn it. Oh, that's why. Duh. Came out. I gotta go tape this again. Fuck.
Ah, there we
There you
go.
go.
Okay. Yeah, I could go tape it like crazy, but okay.
Right. Do you want to try and say your thing, Bob?
I forgot about it. Don't worry about it.
Because you were saying, is
Yeah,
it determined by sales?
like
I would say
AA, AAA is not a
Okay.
formal classification where you have
Yes.
numbers, and at that point you're AAA. It's just an informal where like if it's a certain level of detail and probably budget and sales and all those things combined, it's considered
Oh,
AAA.
okay.
Yeah,
And
I thought it was all
until
based off
finalized
sales, though.
sale. No.
Yeah.
You could still have like quote unquote a AAA game that has millions poured into it that nobody plays.
Yeah.
Fallout. Yeah.
Like one of the main indications in the current market is a sale price. If you have like a $60 sale price is usually an indication of a AAA game. I mean,
Yeah.
nowadays, not so much anymore. Like if you look 2 or 3 years ago, probably that's a good indication.
And with Mechwarrior 5, at least, it's not necessarily sold full $60, but it's not selling for the $15 like a full-on indie would.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fairly high up there, which is why double A, maybe even quote unquote triple A, can be applied to the company.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just curious what the difference is. I'll have to look it up later on, though.
It's not formal, so yeah, it's we shouldn't really get too hung up on it one way or another.
Yeah. Another small tip that we shouldn't get too hung up on is Russ mentioned a second DLC for Mechwarrior 5. When they originally created a timeline for how they want to continue the development of Mechwarrior 5 post-release, it sounds like the second DLC was intended to be released in spring 2021. Now, obviously, with the first DLC being pushed back, it's very much up in the air whether they're just going to combine them, delay the intended
Mhm.
second DLC, or just release them shortly after another, just a few months apart. We'll see.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys hear a cat in the background, that's mine. So bear with it.
Cats
Sorry.
are awesome.
Cats are
Bob
awesome.
doing everything professionally this week.
Yes, this is all
By the way,
professional. Just to let you know.
First Circuit Podcast, Christmas Special 2020,
Yes.
Catcast episode 1.
Cat cast. We're gonna have a cat cast.
Forward for that one. It's
Yes.
gonna be cool.
Oh god.
It's gonna be
Okay.
awesome.
All right. Should we just breach into the Breachhead video? The Mechwarrior 5 DLC.
Yeah,
After
sure.
they showed off.
Got it. Okay.
So,
All right.
See, I've
I'm
heard
sharing.
rumblings about this for a little while from some other content creators that they were looking to get some people to showcase the DLC, and they just happened to show it off when they're talking about being acquired by EG7. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It looks pretty cool. They're jumping around
looks
like we
alright.
normally do, like inside the mech bay. Because we always like to jump on each other.
The editing's a lot better than just
Yeah.
one unedited match by a guy who just wiggles their aims around like crazy, doesn't know anything about weapon ranges.
They actually talk to each
there's a
other,
lot-
which is really cool too. Sorry.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah.
Quick summarize the video. They have 4 perspectives for streamers doing the Mechwarrior 5 co-op modus. They're doing a Breachhead co-op mission with a, on average, heavy to assault lens. And the video is fairly heavily edited to switch between perspectives. It's not necessarily chronological, but it just gives you a general idea how a Breachhead could look if
True.
you have if you have friends to do co-op and communicate and split up and all those good things.
That's a good point. I didn't realize that it's not edited chronologically, and so
No.
it would have been cooler if they did that.
They have one
But
guy, the one in the King Crab, actually gets killed off
Yeah,
in one
the King
mission.
Crab
But
dies and then in
Yeah.
the end he's back. So they probably recorded different missions to
Yeah.
yes,
just would have been
which
interesting though.
it's fine. Honestly, I think it's a
Yeah.
really good video.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
it makes me excited to play Mechwarrior 5 co-op.
Well, you wanna
Now I need friends to
co-op
play it
is
with me.
probably the most lively side of the game, because when it is just somebody quiet by themselves sitting in a cockpit with AI companions,
it
the
sucks.
game doesn't really. It doesn't have a lot of personality. It's all
No.
just the stomps. Yeah, with always seeing the people in the corner, all of them talking with one another, it adds a lot more color and flair to the proceedings, and the back and forth between them and tactical stuff feels way more engaging.
I really love their tactics, where they send their champion, which is their fastest mech off to destroy some radar dishes in the middle of the mission. That's really cool tactical stuff that you do not get in single player Mechwarrior 5. The IMO, there's no way to coordinate this
No.
with the Mechwarrior 5 base game tools.
We got friends here, man. We'll play with you. I'll play with you, man.
Well, yeah, but in solo you just can't do this kind of stuff.
No.
It's very tricksy because
Yeah.
you, as this player, has to be the one fast mech, and you just
Hmm.
have to send the blob next to the objectives.
Yeah, I guess this would work.
Because
But then
the
you lose
AI,
all of your big mechs.
the AI do shoot objectives automatically, and if they're overwhelmingly stronger than the enemy forces, you'll be able to do the mission quickly enough. But yeah, they're not that smart, and they're probably going to get their asses kicked.
Still looks pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Heroes of the Inner Sphere. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah,
Epic, Steam,
we'll have to wait
GOG.
and see
Yeah.
how marketing changes with their acquisition of EG7, and obviously we'll see how things ramp up when we get closer to the actual release date.
True. Okay. That was the
All right.
MW devlog. We now have the
The
no.
last little tidbit I mentioned,
Yeah.
at least before the stream, was Russ also mentions near the end that EG7, the negotiations of them go back to summer, maybe even somewhat spring for them.
Hmm.
And as many eagle-eyed viewers have noticed, that's kind of why they were looking to hire Darren and other people to revitalize MWO and whatnot. So yeah, this negotiation very roughly has taken, what's that? It's like 4 to 8 months or so, very roughly.
Well, like Russ did say that, or I'm sorry, Darren did say that they actually planned ahead like 3 to 4 months ahead of time. So they're probably working on something exactly right now, and then 3 to 4 months from now we'll see something. So obviously he did say that also there's nothing coming out until the beginning of next year. Like I'm thinking February, March around that time, but that's about it.
It's
Don't
a funny
expect
question, at least
don't
in
expect
terms of
anything.
as a fandom figuring out somewhat the timeline of events. Because for me, I was always interested that they dumbed down MechWarrior 5 with a mindset of getting good reviews from the mainstream reviewing sites, and those are the most prominent things that they've shown off in EG7's presentations. Is that, hey, look, these guys got a good review from PC Gamer, and the question was, if they were in negotiations for 2 years, then obviously it may have very well had an impact on MechWarrior 5. But since it's only 4 to 8 months, whilst obviously negotiations, or the minds to have negotiations, could have been,
Mhm.
in his head for years ago, it's not really the case. There's also questions of when they started looking to do MechWarrior Online again. And that was really just, they started thinking about it after they got the license renewed, which again was only a few months ago. But they were already in negotiations with EG7 for quite some time, with MWO just sitting around, in its idle life support state. So that's just sort of why I find it mildly interesting, just knowing when they were starting negotiations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I give it here some tinfoil people saying that, oh, MechWarrior 5 is only just dumbed down because they always planned to release it on console, or as Spider said, the reviews. And it seems like the acquisition does not necessarily had an impact on the development of MechWarrior 5 and MechWarrior Online.
Yeah.
I do still wonder, like, because obviously, he does place such a high importance on the review scores, and that will totally help with only just your image to investors. Like to it might help you with marketing and gamers, but really just people want a fun game and to share it with friends, and that's how you get most of your word of mouth. People, I don't. It's been so long since I've ever really heard any other person really care about what PC Gamer has to say.
God, I stopped reading that like years ago.
Well, maybe he's just disold and he's a industry veteran and that's
Mhm.
all he knows.
Yeah, could be.
I mean,
Could be. Who knows?
I get my
Yeah,
reviews
that
from
does make
streamers.
some sense.
I get my reviews from YouTubers and streamers, and I watch their videos and see if they like it or not. And depending on who I'm listening to, I would go respect it. Like say like Andrew, say like Angry Joe. Like I'll listen to what he says and does like an hour long detailed information about reviews about a different game. Granted, his games, sometimes he sucks at doing reviews, but most of the time though he does a very good review about different games out there. PC Gamer I haven't even looked at, basically like any of those types of magazines, like
Yeah.
Game Informer,
I'd
like
honestly
whatever
say
they are.
game reviews by like key persons in general have died. They definitely haven't died out, but they have definitely died down.
Oh yeah,
And I think nowadays stuff like the Steam community feedback, stuff like that, is way more important for potential buyers.
And the biggest
Generally, yeah.
players, like if you
Yeah.
think of Fortnite or Among Us or something like that, why did they get so popular? Just lots of people play them on Twitch, and it looks really
Yep.
fun, at least on
Yeah.
Twitch.
Yeah. Yeah. So, or watch that guy, Old Bob. You know, he does pretty good stuff. You know, does some really cool things too. Check him out as well.
His titles are way too clickbaity for me.
Okay.
This,
Okay, go on, sir.
the shillness. It's too strong with this one.
Speaking of shills, we're gonna come back to the topic of shills for December. But first off,
Yeah.
the NGNG podcast talking about well, mostly Mechwarrior Online. They specifically excluded all the Mechwarrior 5 stuff.
Mhm.
Talk about Mechwarrior Online between Sean Lang, Darren, and Matt Newman. Though Matt was only there for the first like 20 or 30 minutes.
Yeah. Also, the first like 10, 15 minutes, the name tags were the wrong way around for Darren and Matt.
Oh, really?
So I like the cheeky comments at the bottom, just sort of saying, "Oh wow, Darren shaved his beard and Matt's grown it out and all that."
I would be mad if he shaved his beard.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Anyway,
Anyway,
Okay. So, administration work, MW updates, following community feedback has begun. So they are working on it. They're starting.
so
You know,
yeah,
they are
first two
definitely
things they
starting.
talked about,
Yeah.
like what's the current state, what are the actions that are being done right now for Mechwarrior Online, and they talked about how they're mostly looking to get a team together. Mechwarrior Online is going to get a dedicated team again for the first time in probably a few years.
Mhm.
And before they can put a team together, they kind of need to know what to do. So right now they are looking at what exactly they want to implement from the community feedback and what resources they need. And I'm not quite certain whether they started their hiring process, but they are looking to hire some new people for Mechwarrior Online.
Yeah, the impression I got is this December at least, Matt and Darren have been working together such that they're figuring out new employees, and they were the ones who put their heads together to figure out all the events and sales that we'll discuss in the future. At least for December, they've already figured out all the events and sales for December, so that they can focus more on probably the Mechwarrior Online hiring and
Mhm.
all the figuring things out for that process.
Yeah, so definitely cool to hear that Mechwarrior Online is going to get a dedicated team again.
Yeah, I mean,
And speaking
It's
obviously they're getting a team together to go ahead and start this kind of stuff.
Yeah, because they do mention at least with the existing team, it's hard to really rush anything out the door around Christmas time because everyone keeps their holiday days reserved till the end of the year. As that you might as well bank them in now, and it's Christmas. It's there's people coming in and out of the office, and if you really want to get a patch pushed through the door as quickly as possible, like if you want to do the PSR change to 4.5 or something, you need a coder, but you also need QA to look at it. And if QA find an issue, they need to give it back to the coder. Oh, but it seems like the coder's gone on holiday, so it's going to be just an absolute nightmare figuring things out with the existing team. And so yeah, in next year at least, they're going to be hiring fresh talent who it doesn't sound like they're getting vets from the team who actually know the systems. They're going to be teaching new talent how to they're going to be working on the fly with new talent to figure out the
Yeah.
game.
partially, it sounded like they're still entertaining the idea of like internally hiring people from other departments,
Yeah.
but they're definitely looking at getting new people in.
Okay.
Mhm. So they also talked just other bits and pieces. It's like they touched on, okay, so what are we going to actually do? What things are we looking forward? And one of the things they talked about is like, what we're really eager for is maps. People like maps. We want to make new maps. So obviously we've got to hire a map maker, and they're probably going to be a new person. So people talked about fixing spawns. That involves maps. So we'll get a new person to make maps. But first things first is they fix the spawn points. They get used to the game and the tools, and then we'll send them to work on new maps. And that's kind of the idea,
Yeah.
at least from one area.
Yeah, and from Darren's words, it's very much sounded like their main objective for 2021 is to go over all the maps they already have, fix them up to the point that they're the most fun they can be,
Mhm.
and really focus on those things before they start designing new maps.
Yeah. Good idea.
Yep.
Which makes a lot of sense, and I support it.
They also talk. They're going to have what, 4 updates, quarterly updates, and the idea
Mhm.
is to put as much stuff into each update as possible to really make you hyped and excited for it, rather than releasing small little changes piecemeal, which can get kind of underwhelming and just like, oh, they changed a small little thing.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be great for content creators if, like, at least 4 times next year you're gonna have this big chunk of content dropped where you can make videos and this kind of
Hmm.
stuff, which is cool. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's gonna build up more hype than making slow releases, even though slow releases might be beneficial in the sense that you get features out faster. This makes some sense, and also it makes QA much easier.
Hmm. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, it's still early days and figuring out the crew, figuring out what exactly will, how the timetable will go. I think new player experience is mentioned a little just to as a priority. You know, obviously,
Yeah.
you might as well do the whole new player experience, revamp it all in one go, and that way, that would be the time to set. You know, if you have friends who you want to get into the game, you go, all right, new player experience is greatly improved now. Now I can get my friends in, etc.,
Yeah.
etc.
And speaking of new player experience, one of the things that most requested by the community is to drop new player lower than tier 3. And I didn't put it down in my notes, but I recall them saying that they're not, they won't be able to do anything about it in December from a new, like, putting new player into a lower tier. But what they are looking to do is moving some people down a few tiers in an intelligent way. And
Hmm.
that's kind
Uh,
of interesting. I
uh,
don't know how I would react if I was a new player who has like 10 games and suddenly my tier drops from 3 to down to 5. But hey, it's something.
yeah, that's kind of weird though. I'll be kind of pissed off. Right now I'm tier 3,
It
but I
it
haven't really.
makes it makes sense though. You have to migrate the people who have recently started.
Yeah,
Yeah.
This was always going to happen.
yeah. A lot of people will be kind of pissed though. Basically having to go from tier 5, from tier 3 to tier 5, and then going, oh crap, I got to go now from tier 5 to tier.
Going down tiers
Yeah,
doesn't mean
I
just simply
Yeah,
you're
I
contributing to
would
your
say a
time, though.
certain type of person would be pissed about that. But the people I want to play with would not care.
oh yeah. I mean, I wouldn't give a crap,
By the
but
time it's a funny question. If by the time they've actually implemented it, if you've only played 10 matches, are you a very avid player who even really cares about your tier? Do you even understand what tiers are? Um,
well, old Bob hasn't even played this year yet, but young Bob has played, and
but they can
still tier
see your
3.
old Bob account has played thousands of matches in the
Oh, okay,
past,
yeah,
even
yeah,
though you're
yeah.
not a new player.
Okay,
They said in an intelligent way, so let's
okay,
hope they're not going to
okay.
move any accounts that are all that in a few months.
And if they're doing quarterly updates, hopefully, they'll sit down and work things out,
Yeah,
talk with the community with their plans and iron out the things rather than doing we have to rush this out in 1 month. Let's
yeah, yeah. No,
do something half baked and then half baked another solution
I mean,
and then half baked another one.
I wouldn't care. I just play for fun anyway, so it's all good.
Early player experience as well. I think they Matt talked a bit about as well, like trial mechs. I think he's very keen on the idea of talking with experienced players in the game, reworking all the trial mechs, particularly stuff like make it heat management curve a lot more manageable. Just 2 weapon groups, easy to play these mechs rather than the absolute
Yeah,
nonsense things that we got right now.
That's
And
the
that
big thing I took down from that part. Just Matt
yes.
understands simplicity. Yes.
Yes, I still feel the trial mech should actually have a skill tree, particularly at least if they have
Yeah.
ECM, give them proper ECM. Except even just allow people to customize. That's been a thing we've been a fan of for a while in this podcast.
yeah.
All right,
Mm.
other
Speaking
things.
of Matt's plans, he still
Yes,
wants his event queue. And
yep.
it very much sounds like he hasn't gotten any improvement of it yet. And I'm still crossing my fingers that he gets the funding for his event queue because I want it.
Event queue, like what would that be at?
Um, a special queue with like special events like
Oh, okay,
ballistic
yeah,
cooldowns are halved or you get a random mech assigned. Like the
Yeah.
fun stuff.
yeah.
The
Oh,
way they
okay.
talked about it, and it does make some sense that instead of requiring you to, like, oh, ballistic cooldowns all are 50% smaller, and then you have to take a ballistic mech into it. It's just you click play, pure and simple, and it throws you into a predetermined mech. So
Yeah.
if it's 12v12 URBIEs, you're all piloting the same crappy URBIE.
Oh, a
If
random Irby.
you could do random URBIEs, you could have all just 12v12, all mechs with racks And it just, in the end, it makes it so much simpler if you just click play, and Matt has complete control over what mechs are in there, rather than people trying to metagame the particular funny quirk of that thing. And it's just going to cause so much hassle that with this queue, you just have to make it as simple
as
to get in
possible.
and play.
Yeah.
Particularly with the player-based size. So I think it makes complete sense that you want to do that kind of thing.
And plus, just make
Again,
it fun.
it's just an idea so far. It's just something that we
Yeah.
on the First Circuit are definitely pushing hard.
We're a
Definitely.
fan of Matt's. He has a bit. He puts his flair into the events
Yeah.
that are already in the game,
Yeah.
and we feel like to be able to keep the game running, even if you aren't putting a lot of development resources in, if you get Matt more tools to keep the game alive, then that will really help. Once yeah.
This podcast is purely to sip over Matt Newman. We're a fan podcast.
We love you, Matt.
I mean, even if it's somebody else, of course, it's neat to be able to throw together an event saying like, hey, we're going to do a 2-kid thing. So one team gets 8 clan mechs of our choice with stock loadouts, and the other side get 12 inner sphere mechs with stock loadouts.
Yeah.
Go have at it. And, you can actually just throw that together if you have the tools available. They
Yeah.
don't have the tool available, and Matt's asking for them. And I think it would be a great idea for Matt or anyone in the future to be able to throw those kind of things together in MWO.
It's perfect. I like it. I want it.
All right. And then speaking of ideas for the futures and plan for the futures, there will be a town hall meeting on December 11th. Time is not yet determined. Keep an eye out on the forums for the time. It's going to be streamed on NGNG TV on Twitch. It will be hosted by Sean Lang. And
okay.
it's going to be mostly Darren answering questions. I didn't catch whether Russ or Matt would be there, but it's mostly going to be the last opportunity for the community to give direct feedback.
No doubt there'll be a Russ, I think. But
Hopefully.
yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. And after that, they're going to actually finalize their plans for the next year.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's going to be your last opportunity to just where there's a whiteboard in front of you that you could just write any random stuff on it and hope that PGI will listen.
Yeah. So everyone, December 11th, keep your calendar free. Make sure you go to the stream and type we want Slowpoke in chat.
Slowpoke in chat.
I know who the First Circuit crew is. All 4 people asking for the Slowpoke.
That'll be us. That's okay.
All right. Next major topic, as in the NGNG podcast, they were talking about marketing, obviously, with EG7 providing marketing. We've touched a bit about on it earlier when we talked about Mechwarrior 5 stuff. Obviously, the marketing is going to be mostly focused on Mechwarrior 5 and their new IP, but they are looking to do some marketing for Mechwarrior Online, with very specifically the target audience of what Darren calls MechDads. So people who are old fans of Battletech, but who haven't really played Mechwarrior in a long time, who maybe don't even know that Mechwarrior Online exists, and also potentially retired players.
Yeah, so the impression I got from this one, though, is like, Darren says, oh, we've had a lot of talks with EG7 about marketing, though it's about the other thing. Obviously, in this case, he's referring to Mechwarrior 5. So whilst both of them have made comments about Mechwarrior Online's marketing and their thoughts on how to possibly, where MWO needs to go, at the current time, at least all marketing focus is on Mechwarrior 5, because Mechwarrior 5 has a clear, obvious release date in the future where they're going to do a whole bunch of stuff, and this is an obvious reason to move a pile of money into a marketing to hopefully get much more money out in the long run. With Mechwarrior Online, they are still early days with their plans. So for at least Matt and Darren, it's very much where is PGI strong, where is PGI weak, where can we push the game to be worth a big marketing splurge. And they're still such early days that there's very little attention, and they're still just banding around like MWO is blended MWO Solaris, but Solaris is obviously kind of a bad idea at this point. So yeah, what do we call it? They're calling it like MWO Reborn because they really want to revitalize the game, but Reborn is a bit of a
They really got to
funny
change a lot
title.
of it, though. If they're going to do a reborn, they really got to change a lot of it. Not just like, hey, we have new marketing and that's it. They got to do a lot to have it called
Honestly,
reborn.
at this point, do anything that gets rid of the Solaris tech.
You could just rebrand it to get rid of the Solaris tag, but ultimately, at least, yeah, the hope is at least if I was sitting there and trying to figure out a future for MWO, it's like we need to push the future patches to really grab a new audience
Yep.
to recognize our prior failings, and we need to
Yep.
call it something cool and catchy that will give
Yeah.
the marketing teams a reason to say, yep, you know what, MWO has a real chance of changing things up now.
Yep. You also don't want to just drop it at any day. You want to make it accompanying to a major update. You want to get some Twitch streamers to stream like release day, Mechwarrior Online Reborn. You probably want to get a Steam, like one of their new game pop-up thingies, as with the Mechwarrior Reborn major updates, try the game back, stuff like that.
Okay.
What I found interesting, one of the main target audience, MechDads, who don't even know that Macro and the Macro 5 exists. That one I find honestly interesting. Granted, I'm fairly young, so I don't know too many old people, but the people I do know, like from work and such, those who know of Battletech know of Mechwarrior Online and have played it. They just don't want to play it anymore. So I'm kind of wondering how many of these people actually exist that have legit not heard of Mechwarrior Online.
I mean,
I know.
talking with people in the hobby shops, basically when they go purchase games and stuff like that, obviously you talk to people with Battletech and the tabletop guys, and pretty much they all know about it. It's either they heard something bad about it, or they played it and don't like it, or play it and love it, type thing, or just don't have time to play games like anymore because they're mech dads, they're taking care of other things. But I think it's well known throughout the industry, throughout the IP, so. I don't know. It's like a mixture of different things. A mixture of yes, I love it, no, I hate it, or never played it, type thing. But I know about it, type thing. They know about it, so it's not. I don't know.
It's always a tricky thing with MWO. There's a lot of complexity to it compared to other games. There's a very high hurdle to entry, not least just because of all the mechanics you have to learn, but also all the grind of C-bills you
Yeah.
have to do. It's a game that it's a question of how much have you really saturated your market and what kind of people you're looking for. And to some degree, I can agree that a lot of people who have nostalgia for the older Mechwarrior titles, who have played the game in the past, are your best candidates for sticking around, rather than the people who trying to get fresh people in. Because at least for most games with a fresh market, you want simple 1 or 2 button combat. And MWO, at least with all its various different little weapons and complicated systems, is really hard to get just a completely fresh person into.
Yeah, it's a full keyboard game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True. But
So yeah,
yeah.
that's just the only worry I have when I talk about marketing for Macro Online. So obviously it's gonna be in the future past their first major update, post the Macro 5 release on all platforms once they actually have resources freed up. I'm just really hoping that they do find the right target audience. Like spreading
Yeah.
the word IMO is not going to get you new players. I think it's gonna be reaching the people who already know about the game and who might be mildly interested and convincing them that it's worth diving into right now
Yeah.
or re-diving
it all
into.
depends.
A line Matt brought up was just that the PGI has always been good at preaching to the choir, the people who are already playing the games and are active with the community and this, that, and the other. And they do quite well enough at that, but they really struggle to reach beyond the established hardcore community. And that, at least with the publisher now possibly able to help, is where a big, huge marketing drive could be aimed to reach beyond the established wall garden and to see where we can get some new talent, new players back into the game.
In WO2, no, not happening. No, it's not happening, guys.
Okay, yeah, Bob is jumping to the next
Oh,
slide.
Sorry.
So Phil again asked, know that funding is no longer the main issue. Are they again considering a Mechwarrior Online 2 or an engine upgrade? And I was just sitting there like, Phil, really? We've talked this to death. An engine upgrade is not going to improve the game considerably. Even if you have the resources, even if you can get the license expanded for another 10 years.
I mean, you'd have
Honestly,
to. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you can get the license expanded for another 20 years, I'd be like, okay, let Mechwarrior Online slowly die out, start developing a completely fresh game, release it in like, I don't know, 2022 or so, when you have like 15 years left of your license, and then have a new game for the remaining 15 years. Maybe. But like, even then, if you have another 10 years of license, it's just not worth it. I don't know why people think an engine upgrade is magically going to save the game, make it look more pretty, give you all the features you really want or not want. It's just
Yeah, I'm with you on that one
Yeah.
though. With especially with the 5-year license that they have now. No, it'll take 2 years minimum just to get this thing out. Granted, they could pop some stuff out really quick, but if you want to have a half a decent game like Weldwood. But I mean, they're still working on the Back 5. They got a new IP coming out. They don't have resources to do this, and coming to Mechwarrior Line 2, it's just not going to happen. And I mean, even with the
So
10-year thing, they won't do it
yeah,
because they're trying to make money on
I
the next IP.
in my head at least, my the feel I have in my gut is just simply along the lines of if you're going to do it, like MW2 is kind of the same as MWO Reborn. Like, what is the real big new lease of life that you can give to MWO? What would really radically change the game that would be such a obvious, huge selling point? And for all its flaws, at least MWO is actually quite fairly feature complete. And you could say, oh, well, add destructibility to the game. That's nice, but I don't think MWO destruction is really actually, the next big thing. MWO, but now with good graphics.
Yeah.
Is it really worth all the time and effort when the core fundamentals of the game is still just, already there in MWO? It just doesn't seem to make sense for me. The cost benefits aren't there. I haven't heard a compelling new lease of life on MWO.
The only thing I could see if they do something though is with the 10-year license or something is making an MMO. The MMO of MechWarrior Online or MechWarrior
no.
basically. No, you don't
Well,
think
what you
so?
could do,
Yeah, I
the
think that'd be
closest thing
awesome. That'd be
the
great.
closest thing I would say was something along the lines of faction warfare. Obviously, a lot of people kind of dissatisfied with faction warfare.
Yeah.
If you had a whole separate game mode where players have persistent mechs on the map, and you have your own meta game and grinding and
Yeah.
such, and it doesn't rely necessarily on 24 players all lining up on the same map every single time. Something like that you could find you make your own mini game in faction warfare. But that is such an extensive project, and I don't even know how it would work and whether it would even capture a big enough audience.
Yeah, I just don't think it's going to happen. It's just, I mean, I'd love to see it. Don't get me wrong. Love to see the franchise go even further, but I highly doubt it. I highly doubt that will even happen.
The biggest leases of life on MWO right now, at least the obvious things, is just, hey, more maps, more mechs, more weapons. Like jumping forward in the timeline, just getting more tools to play with would be great.
Yeah.
So just to finalize the engine argument, I don't even think Mechwarrior 5 looks much prettier than Mechwarrior Online. Personally, I much prefer the looks and feel of Mechwarrior Online over Mechwarrior 5.
I don't know. Like
Personally,
sorry, go ahead.
I also think that CryEngine games are in general the prettiest games engine-wise. And the only reason I could see to go away from the by now antique CryEngine they're using to something more modern, doesn't matter which one, would be performance.
It's a little ironic in a funny way, just that they jumped on CryEngine because it was the pretty game engine, and they had to rush out a whole bunch of spaghetti code to turn the pretty game engine into something useful. And now we're so much further down the line, and we're like, oh, we want something prettier. No, prettiness was actually somewhat the problem in the first place. We have not learned our lesson.
With the MechWarrior 5 though, with MechWarrior 5 is that if you actually do the free cam and actually go around the battlefield and go to the buildings, they actually did a beautiful job on the buildings and how it looks. I do think myself it looks prettier when you actually do the free cam going into that and then basically checking that out compared to MechWarrior like online. But
I mean, yeah, obviously the
yeah,
map details and
yeah,
such. There's always a difference when you optimize for a online game
hmm
versus a single player experience
yeah,
that's
yeah.
more sightseeing focused. Because let's be real, Mechwarrior 5 could probably be considered a sightseeing arcade game.
True,
Um,
true.
but there's no
Sightseeing
real
game.
reason why you couldn't do this in the CryEngine. Except maybe performance, but really realistically there's no reason you couldn't make the game look pretty in CryEngine either. So
The
the
main draw of
argument
the
is
game
so
isn't
strong.
even. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
The
go
main
ahead.
draw isn't the visuals.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're wanting people who, like for me, the biggest draw is the gameplay, and the mechanics and just all the depth and complexity involved and all that. Um, visuals do have a good useful place in marketing, but MWO and MechWarrior 5, it's really hard to actually show off the gameplay because it's just, to a casual observer, it's really hard to understand compared to much, if you want visuals to sell your game, you want really quick and easy to understand mechanics, which MWO and MechWarrior 5 just does not have at the most basic level.
Mm-mm.
Just um in my head, it's like sort of comparing the heads-up display of McCree from Overwatch to something from MWO. With McCree, he has a revolver, a six-shot revolver. He's a cowboy. He rolls, he throws a flashbang, bam, 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 bam. He shoots somebody dead. Easy, quick, and you can get really cool footage of gameplay. Where you're
I don't
stunning.
know, man. McCree is hard.
He is hard, but a really skilled player is obviously going to, pick off people's headshots. He's going to look really skilled. With MWO though, you've got all these UI elements. When you shoot, just like the 6 medium lasers, you don't really understand so intrinsically the same thing as a cowboy throwing, just rolling around and shooting people with a 6-shot revolver. And yeah, it's just, you could pump a lot into the visuals, but fundamentally you want to actually, the game is sold on the simulation, it's sold on the mechanics, and
I
all you need to do for that is add more weapons, etc., etc.
I would argue that the game is, at least inside the Battletech fan base, very much sold on visuals as well. But you don't need the prettiest visuals. You just need
Hmm.
visuals that are pretty enough that you get this really fuzzy feeling when you see that Mad Cat walk in front of you, because you've read so much about it and now you see it. And every time you fire up your mech and you just see that Mad Cat walk past you, it's so, ah, this is why I play this game.
I mean, what are
And you,
the greatest parts? Is when mechs fall apart.
Yeah. Well, actually, like when I did that video 2 years ago of you walking by me with your vulture, and I had a free cam of you coming like over me. That kind of stuff I loved because it looked beautiful. It looked like it was nighttime, the city, and all that kind of stuff. It looked awesome.
Mhm.
If the visuals are good, the visuals are fine actually. To tell you the truth,
yeah,
just like you said, Mechwarrior 5 I think has better visuals, but it didn't have the gameplay. It just felt like an arcade game. But MechWarrior Online feels like you're actually part of a mech simulation with other people playing around doing the different things that's going on. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know. It's just yeah,
let's maybe move on from
yeah,
this topic.
yeah. Let's move on here.
It's a mute argument.
In the end, it's like the mechs already look pretty decent, even in MWO. And if you just say MWO but with slightly better textures, is that really the rebranding?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that the big selling point now?
Yeah.
To
yeah, not really.
I
bring people back.
honestly very much think that you could touch up the textures, make 8K textures for the people who do have the specs to run them.
Hmm.
But again, it's a question of whether it's worth it. And
Yeah.
again, an engine upgrade will not mean that everyone can run 8K textures. It just means that you can maybe spend $50 less on your GPU and still run them. It's not that fundamental of a difference, and people need to understand this. So
Yeah,
moving on, Mechwarrior 5 on the Xbox will have mod support.
that's
That's
not bad.
cool. I mean,
Yeah,
it
Hmm.
makes total sense. The Xbox at this point is a PC, hardware-wise, and probably mostly software-wise as well. So yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, not
Yep.
bad.
That's
Yeah,
I
it's a
hope
good thing.
they deliver it. It's still, obviously, we have to wait and see, how things
yeah.
pan out. But that's the plan, and it's a good plan.
Yes.
Yep. Also, Mechwarrior 5 on the Xbox will have a very similar UI, which tells me that there are going to be some differences, and
Hmm.
I'm very interested in seeing them. Like the last time I really didn't expect a game to make sense on console was with Paradox Quant strategy games, and then I played their console version of Stellaris and Surviving the Aftermath and those games, and they went really well while looking mostly the same. So I have high hopes.
Okay.
I
Cool.
do think it's very much possible to nail Mechwarrior on a console.
Okay. December will have events, sales, dev hunts, Twitch events, and shills. Interesting.
Yeah, let's start from the end. Darren is back to well, helping Twitch streamers out promoting the game Mechwarrior Online. So shills are gonna be able to get stuff again, and there are gonna be Twitch events, Twitch giveaways. So if you're still playing Mechwarrior Online, make sure to check into the Twitch streams throughout December
Yeah.
to get some
Yeah,
giveaways.
definitely. A lot of
And
giveaways.
given how small the viewer base is, you have really good chances grabbing stuff.
I still
I
have some
remember-
deck base left over from.
I remember Bob's last few giveaways where there were like 2 people participating.
Yeah, I know.
I think
for 5
Darren,
codes.
Darren's also doing Hunt the Dev thing,
Yeah.
which is
Mhm.
he's dropping and he will give things away to people who kill him in the match, and he'll announce that on Twitter. I think it is.
Okay.
Yep. That's gonna be really cool. If you kill him, you get a special medallion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's I've taken part when they did it last time where they had 6 or 7 PGI deaths, and boy, it was so freaking frustrating. When
Why?
everyone just competes, like it's not about winning the game, it's everyone competing for that one kill on the PGI death. And then you're in front of them, you have flamers, machine guns, SRMs, you're like, no way in hell someone can steal this. And then he dies and you look up and oh shit, he died by the LRMs. And it's anyway, it's probably gonna be good fun. So
Sounds like a personal story.
yeah. Keep an eye on Darren's Twitter.
Yeah, definitely.
That one.
Okay.
And lastly, there are going to be events and sales. Apparently, December is going to be massive on events and sales, and it certainly looks like it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna bring up the page while you guys maybe start with the sale.
Oh, I was going to start with
Dropship
the
sales? Okay.
advent thing.
The
But
holiday
yeah,
sale?
dropship deals are back. For mechs for $16 to $40. They're all the hero mechs, so it's much cheaper than buying it through MC or through the packs individually. It's kind of interesting. They're split between tech bases, so you can't mix and match lights between Innisphere and clans. You have to buy from just 4 Innisphere lights, 4 Innisphere clans.
Interestingly, they have the same price, even though there's a big price difference in game.
True. Well, they wanted to
So I'm not
just keep it all
too
together, I
excited
guess.
about the split, but otherwise, dropship deals are a great time to pick up mechs if you still want them.
And they're all hero
Yep.
mechs too, so that's even better.
Usually best is value for money, particularly if you're starting out, is you pick up clan Omni-Mech heroes. They earn you more C-bills, and you have all the Omnipods available to you at that point.
Yep. Clan medium hero mechs are most likely going to be your best bet if you start out. Just some personal recommendations. The Huntsman is a really good mech. The Vapor Eagle has some really good builds.
Mhm.
I'd say the Nova and the Arctic Wolf are probably going to be our one-ups.
Yep. Yeah.
And Ida's probably going to say the Death Wish is amazing, and I'm going to say no, you shouldn't buy the Death Wish.
I like the
What's the
page
Death
up though.
Wish?
Like
Oh,
yeah.
is that the Hunchy 2C?
Yeah, the Hunchback
Yeah.
2C. Yeah.
Oh no, that one's quite terrible.
I like the paint job though. It's kind of cool.
So yeah, lots of dropship deals. Take a look at them if you're still looking for mechs. Dropship deals are usually a really good time to pick up mechs for I wouldn't say great value, but a decent enough value.
Yep.
And hey, it supports Mechwarrior Online.
Yes.
Because
Definitely.
In the future, there'll be complete collections that will have a 200 GSP bundle on top of it. So you buy the mechs and you also can skill them out, which was an issue we sort of said in the past, that you get the mechs, but then you have to spend forever skilling them up. So yeah, good value for money, at least relatively speaking, on complete collections, and even more so in the future. And it might overlap with the stocking stuffer event, hopefully, which will give you extra loot bag redeems. So fingers crossed.
Yep. And then there are also going to be gift codes, 2 for the price of 1. Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's effectively double MC from your purchase.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can redeem gift codes on your own account, right? There's nothing stopping you.
I've never tried it,
Never
but
tried,
I think you should be able to.
I don't see a reason why you wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, double MC is Definitely cool. And exciting bundles you won't want to miss. Okay,
Good stuff.
that could be anything. Like I'm kind of imagining just a collection of cockpit item and maybe paints, paint job stuff like that would be cool. Who knows? No idea. We'll see. Exciting bundles.
Okay, so we got holiday events, which are happening now, which are kind of nice because you don't really have to do them that day. They have one a day, and then basically normally have the December stocking stuffers, which
Yeah, the
yeah,
Advent
yeah,
event, it lasts till the end of the month, so
yes,
there's no
yeah,
rush.
yeah. There's no
Wait
rush
until
to
the other
these.
if you're yeah, you wait until the other events are actually out and then actually earn them because the Advent part is lots of little rewards. It's not really worth doing it day by day. I do like that the first one is just get one victory and you get 7 days premium time. But again, it would be great to get 7 days premium time when the stocking stuffer event comes out.
Mm-hmm. Definitely,
Yep.
definitely so.
So yeah, you can either play every single day to get that one event done, or you wait until stocking stuffer, which would be the more efficient manner of completing it.
Hmm.
Yeah, and speaking of upcoming events, stocking stuffer obviously always a great time. Holiday bonus event that gives you free stuff. So the last few years we've had a pair of free hero mechs
Mm.
around the holidays. I'm
Mhm.
wondering if they do the same thing again. Would be really cool. Last few hero mechs were pretty awesome.
They usually actually made their own bespoke heroes. So with limited resources, what mechs do they choose to give to everyone? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's either gonna be
Boxing Days events.
yeah, Box Day events and New Year's events. We've had
Yeah.
those in the past.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of hung up on what mechs they would give away this year. That make a lot of sense.
Those would be
Like,
standard mechs
yeah,
that they give out though, like they haven't built anything. You know,
Yeah.
at least I'm
yeah, that's
thinking.
what I'm
Yeah.
wondering. Like some of the more common hero mechs, would they give away some of the hero mechs that are uncommon and rarely played? Would they just make a choice of 2 loyalty mechs? I don't know.
Yo
I
ho
know.
ho! 3 URBIEs for everyone. The standard pack of URBIEs for everyone.
I love Aries.
I know you should do
Yeah,
it.
people won't complain, or at least it'll be a meme answer to just give everyone URBIEs.
Okay.
Anyway.
I don't know. That would be so trolly. I'd be up for it.
Yes.
Okay.
All
Next.
right. So lots of great things coming up in December. It's a good time to play Mechwarrior Online if you still want to actively play the game and not wait for the big changes. Then definitely check out these events. Lots of great stuff.
Phew.
Moving on. Our last large segment is gonna be focusing on some of the community things that have been going on in the Battletech community. And oh no, I have a broken link.
No, you don't. I can look at it now.
The very first Twitter one is
Yeah.
broke. Yeah.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Oh no.
I got the professionals in my work right here, guys. How about the Kickstarter with the plushie?
My Kickstarter is broken. I'm sorry, Bob. You're going to have to edit.
That's fine. Here, I'll do mine. Let's see.
My VPN.
Oh,
It blocked me
okay.
because I had a VPN. All right.
Okay, here you go. I got it right here.
God damn it. Okay. Continue.
Okay, let's do the plushie because I have the plushie right here.
Oh my god. It is so
Cute,
cute.
I know.
Yeah, so we've been waiting a very long time to get an update on the promised plushie from the Battletech Kickstarter. By the way, still pretty expensive, $40 plushie, but so worth it. And yeah, we finally have some first, not production pictures, but designs for it, which are cool to look at. So they started out with this reference. It's going to be a pirate-themed URBIE, which, I mean, yeah.
Yarr.
It looks pretty cool, man. But $40 was a little bit
They
much.
do have there what is those two there? Isn't that a plush or just in how they envision it when it is a plush?
This is a plush, and I believe. Okay, let's start from the top. All right, reference-wise, this is kind of the rough shape they got with some reference images on what choices Catalyst had to pick from
Yeah.
regarding the plushie. And they mostly ended up with this particular design. Which, I mean, that's an URBIE. It looks cool.
Mm.
I don't know if I would be taking that into bed with me, just in fear of breaking it, but it
Well, how would
definitely
you
looks
break it?
cool.
It's a plushie, man. Well, if my cats will tear it apart, though, that's the issue that I would have.
That for once, and the arms look not too
Put
well
together?
attached to the body.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's how much is stitched on the arm compared
Yeah.
to how heavy they are, and if you give it a nasty bump like the AC-10 arm, if it's not too much holding it there, it's quite liable to be knocked off.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, we finally have a picture for the URBIE plushie. I love it. I'm very much looking forward to having it. It's
I'm
amazing.
curious if it will even be able to stand up consistently. They even have like a
Oh,
little video where
probably not.
someone's awkwardly tried to make it look like it walks.
Oh yeah, I need to show this.
Oh God.
I think that was a bit too fast for an URBIE there.
Yeah, that was a little too fast.
Yeah.
Let's go
yeah.
32, man. Come on. Go this.
I mean, 32 is actually quite a bit of a speed. Like,
Wow. Okay, well,
It's annihilator speed.
yeah,
Eh,
but like compare it to running speed.
it's still kind of cool though. But yeah, I don't know. $40 is a little bit much for that thing. But of course, to the fan though, I mean, come on, fan group though, it's good.
Yeah, it's like it's not something that's gonna sell well in just any convenience store, but it's
No,
No,
it's good. I love
it's
it so
good for
much.
the memes,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you can stand it up in the background.
true.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So just a small update on the Battletech Kickstarter. By the way, you have 1 week left at the time of the release of the episode. Only a few days to log in your pledge for Wave 2.
Yes.
Yeah, it's hopefully gonna ship at some point soon. So if you have any changes left, go ahead and do
Okay.
them now.
Sounds good.
Cool. Moving on a bit. We wanted to do some community showcases for the Battletech community, especially with the Clan Kickstarter coming up. There are a lot of amazing paint jobs posted all over Twitter. And basically, it's going to be shouted to you guys listening to this. If you want someone being featured on the First Circle podcast, either like if you have your own paint jobs that you want to show off, maybe even you want to come onto the podcast to talk about your painting process and painting tips you have, please go ahead and contact us on Twitter, and we would very much enjoy showcasing some community paint jobs. For now, one of the people who did give us permission to showcase their art is Twitter handle _1N51_. Bob is gonna have the links in the description.
Yeah.
Just to showcase some of the really cool stuff.
This dude is freaking amazing, man. I mean, that's beautiful. That is beautiful.
That's beautiful dropship.
Yeah, that's a Fortress dropship, by the way, guys. And he did an amazing job. I'm saying the decal that he has on there for the Davion symbol was from that is
We're
Fighting Piranha
I'm gonna
Graphics.
show it. I'm
yeah,
gonna show it in a short bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
just to show some other things. These pictures I will show. This is the metal Warhammer from the Battletech Kickstarter, which is a gorgeous model that in this picture received a gorgeous paint job. And I'm really hyped to finally paint it. I'm just so scared of doing it because the model was so expensive.
Well, what's
and
it made
I
out
believe
of?
I also have the Timber Wolf.
Is it made out of resin?
No, metal. This is Iron
it's metal?
metals.
Like these are the bigger ones.
Yeah. Like if you actually mess up on it though, you, just with 40K figures, you could just go ahead and use paint thinner and just stick it off.
I know. There's
Yeah.
never anything wrong with painting. I'm just
It does look good though. To tell you the truth, it really does.
Let me tell you everything I know about painting. You mentioned metal bottles. I must do it.
Looks good
Go
though,
ahead.
man. You did a good job. Really good job on these. Do you have the Barak dropship that he had?
All right, showing the drop
Yeah,
again.
yeah, he did a Merrick one though. Like one of his past photos.
There's one filled with a whole bunch of
Oh, I'm
like
sorry,
the
Wolf
smaller
Dragons, the
minis
Wolf
together
Dragons one. Yeah.
from Oh, because these are the only ones we have permission for. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the Rice Krispie treats. Damn it.
I mean,
What?
treats?
Ooh.
Ooh, that is.
Completely unrelated.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want your art shown, obviously there are a lot of great painter on Twitter. We haven't been able to contact all of them yet.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
definitely check out this guy. Link's gonna be below. Also, the Way of the Brush is one of the good Twitter handles to check out, and there
Oh,
are
yeah.
plenty more. And I'm hoping throughout the next weeks we're gonna showcase some of their amazing work,
Definitely.
so you guys can follow them and
Definitely
be
so.
excited about all the great Battletech paint jobs.
Good stuff.
Right. And then for your, I've thrown together just some quick links for you guys who also might be inspired by these pictures and want to paint your own stuff. One of the main resources for any Battletech paint shop nowadays is camospecs.com, which is it's a paint shop database thrown together by a bunch of artists and Battletech lore freaks who put a lot of work into really hammering down paint jobs for all the different factions. Let's just randomly pick out Steel Vibers,
It's not just the faction; it's their individual units.
the individual
Yeah.
units. There are reference pictures. There are their insignias, all those things. Like, if you want to figure out how to paint a certain unit, like this would for me this is my starting point.
Yeah.
So definitely a great resource to take a look at. And accompanying this, if you're looking for video tutorials, there's also the YouTube channel Specs Online, which, as far as I know, is part of camospecs.com. And here you can find some reviews for the Battletech miniatures, both old ones and the new Kickstarter ones, and some really great painting tutorials for bases for different paint jobs. Like, if you look at the first few videos, Widowmaker Black Company, obviously you would need for the Warhammer if you want to paint it for the Widowmaker. They've done a great tutorial on a pretty simple Grey Death Legion camo. So I highly recommend checking them out and taking a look at them and getting inspired, and then
Go from there.
ruining your own miniatures, or hopefully not.
You know, there's always, like I always tell everyone, there's expectation versus reality. And usually, like, I go, I know I could paint that. I know I could do this. And then it comes out like total crap. You know, always.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always, like, I don't know if you can see it through Discord, but just look at this thumbnail of the lava base.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, those are beautiful,
That
man.
is so pretty.
You know, yeah, it's just watch them. Just watch how they do the stuff and do it step by step, because otherwise you will screw up. Because, like, I always like to jump steps. Like, oh, that's easy. I'll do
Yeah.
it this way. It's like, no. Do it
I
step by
always
step.
do the simplest way to get something that's half decent. So, like, instead of doing those complicated bases, just dip it in, the moss type to just
Yeah.
have it grassy base.
You know, put some
And
glue
then
on
just
it.
the
You know,
simplest paint scheme that looks half decent, but doesn't take forever to paint. That's just my style.
yeah. Like usually for my orcs, when I did 40K orcs, I just painted green on the bottom and then dipped it in the moss stuff, and then I got a base. Boom, I'm done. Don't have to worry about it. That's usually what I did.
Yeah. Personally, I've come to notice that just priming miniatures makes such a great difference. Like, even if you don't have the time to paint all the miniatures you want to use for a game, just prime all of them.
Yeah.
And they're gonna look so much better immediately, especially if you do the black from the bottom and white from the top primer.
Yeah, true.
Right.
Okay.
And then lastly, for painting resources, Bob, this is a link you thrown up.
Yeah. Basically, it's for decals to find decals for units, for houses, for birth-certain things. I want to go ahead and snoop in there, but you can find decals for anything. So, like, let's say just go pick something there. Go pick anybody. First cavalry. You have to go to the
Yep.
right.
Let me just quickly add it to my screen share.
So yeah, you find water decals to put on your mechs themselves, and I have some. I'm actually opening up Opus ones myself to once I get a chance to paint them. But I think they're like $6 or $7 or something like that, and it helps out so much with that like immersion into your mechs when you paint them and everything. and it's easy to do. Water decals are freaking easy to do, man. Don't fret about these things. Just have tweezers and a brush and water, obviously, and you can definitely do
And
these.
patience.
And patience,
And steady
yeah.
hands.
Steady hands, yes, and not fat fingers like me. But yeah.
And
If
should
you
actually name the
failed,
place.
if you failed at gluing stickers to Lego miniatures in your childhood years, you probably don't even need to attempt it.
But it's pretty cool
Yeah,
resource. Sorry, go ahead.
These will put in the description, but yeah, this site's what called Fighting Piranha Graphics,
Yeah.
which I kind of find funny since we know Piranha Games
Yeah.
and their thing with
Yeah.
taking forever to put in decals.
But it's pretty cool. It has all the units, all the merc groups. Well, not all of them, but it has a mass majority of them, like Black Magic and all that kind of stuff. And it also has all the clans and like everything else. So it's a good resource to go and purchase your stuff from. Very, very nice.
All right. And then one final community shout out. Kiva, one of I think the lead designer on the Battletech game by Hairbrain Schemes. Obviously, they are no longer like main Battletech universe devs right now, so I consider them community. And anyway, Kiva is writing some posts every now and then about the design process of Battletech, and there are some interesting things in here. I find it mostly interesting because, as far as I've gathered from Kiva, both in the past when she did the dev updates and stuff like that, she's not too involved in the Battletech actual franchise.
Mm-mm.
So it's kind of cool to get this like somewhat outside perspective into designing a Battletech game.
Yeah.
It's interesting, just their vision for the game, and obviously how we know it turned out in the long run, and comparing, contrasting. Since obviously, it's very much speaking from their point of view. It's quite interesting, of course, but you could see where it's times where they have to make compromises, where they did put a lot of work into things. Like I think all the events, like they're quite proud of the. The text at the beginning where it's sort of you're picking your contracts, I think it is, you actually have to they wrote all of that themselves.
Mhm.
And yeah, they had a big hand, at least in a lot of the design of the game, and so it's quite an interesting read.
Yeah, that's pretty nice. I'll leave links down below, so everyone can go check it out.
I mean, I could go in depth, but we've already gone quite a long way.
Yeah,
We're running quite long as it is.
Exactly. So is that all, guys? That's what we got there. Cue the music.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I'm just I want to talk more in depth about their things, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
So
we want to talk about all the things, but Bob is old and needs to go to bed.
I am so tired right now.
So everyone, thank you for listening to the First Circuit Podcast, episode 133. Bob is falling asleep. Can you say goodbye before I fall asleep?
Goodbye.
Yay, he's
Yay,
still awake. This
he's
was
still awake.
Old Bob, Bida,
Clark.
and myself, Andrews Harry. See you all around next time on the First Circuit Podcast.